Hi, I'm Miss Liz from the reality show, The Life with Liz. Today, I'd like to talk to you about something very dear to my heart, Woolworths. Woolworths, for those of you who may not be old enough to remember, was a chain of store that stretched across this vast country of ours and even beyond for almost 100 years. Long before Walmart, Costco, Target, the big box stores came into being, Woolworths first held that position. It was the go-to emporium type store that could be found in just about every city, whether it be large or small. The concept was started by Frank W. Woolworth in the 1800s, when he became a pioneer, very much so, in opening up a store that no one had seen before. Prior to Woolworths, the typical way people went shopping was to compose a list of items they needed, take it to their local grocer, and he, the grocer, would go and fill items from the list and assemble them all at the counter. Well, what Frank Woolworth did was, for the very first time, take those items, that merchandise, from behind the counter and put it out on tables, out in the open, for consumers to look, hold, examine for themselves. This sparked a revolution and caught on like wildfire, and soon there were Woolworths popping up everywhere you could think of. It didn't take very long before he became the merchant prince and truly dominated the way that Americans shopped here in the USA. Woolworths unfortunately went out of business close to 20 years ago here in the States. They still, in South Africa, are open for business, and they just recently closed the Woolworths stores in Great Britain. But for me, the meaning of Woolworths goes very deep, because beyond the ubiquitous Woolworth stores, also known as the Five and Dime, that were impossible to miss in my youth when I was growing up, Woolworths became, for me, a life-changing experience. Because as a transgender individual, in my mid-teens, it was at Woolworths I was first able to really begin to acquire the female accessories that every woman takes for granted as having in their wardrobe. I was very bold at the time to even venture into Woolworths, looking for these items by myself. But bold I was, and inside Woolworths I went. I can still remember being able, this had to be at the age of 14 or 15, looking at a tray of rings. They were all set into trays according to the size, because this was costume jewelry at its cheapest, and the material was so flimsy, for lack of a better word, that you couldn't possibly hope to size it. You had to pick the size your finger was and wear it as such. But that didn't matter to me, because what Woolworths gave me was the opportunity to go in with my very meager weekly allowance, and if I saved a few weeks up, I could purchase something that expressed my femininity on the outside, which is how I'd been feeling on the inside for some time. Woolworths, for me, allowed that to happen. And after that first purchase of this very gaudy, and now looking back, cheap-looking cocktail ring, I think it cost $7.98. I wore it with immense pride. And after getting over the huge case of nerves I had going into Woolworths for the first time to even look at ladies' rings, After making the purchase, my confidence level rose, and I went back in to Woolworths over and over again, buying lipstick, hairspray, makeup, whatever I felt I needed to contribute to the transformation I was making on the outside, which in turn was therapeutic and made me feel more whole on the inside. Woolworths means, I'm sure, many things to many different people, but for me, it really was the ladder that helped me to take the very first steps into my transgendered world. In the next few weeks, I will be using this forum, my show, The Life with Liz, to make a very big announcement, possibly the biggest I've ever made, centering around the Woolworths. From that humble experience many decades ago at the Woolworth store that first helped me to identify myself, to today, I will be coming full circle. What is it, you ask? Well, you'll have to stay tuned for more to find out the answer to that. But I will be revealing it very soon. So, for now, signing off and saying thank you for listening to my experience and what the Woolworths meant and means to me. Good night.